Warzone Season 2 is here, and they lied to us again. Updates to the anti-cheat didn't do a goddamn thing. I loaded up into my first rank game and got blatantly rage cheated on. It's a joke. So you know what I'm doing now? I immediately bought a PS5 Pro. Let's go through our console settings. The fact that I have to switch to console to even play this game on a remotely fair basis is an absolute sick joke. It's actually hilarious how bad they're fumbling this franchise right now. And we'll see if anything they have typed out to us over and over again with their PR posts will do something in the future. That being said, let's go through our console settings. The reason that we switched to console is they allowed us to play console-only crossplay, okay? And that's a big deal for ranked. It doesn't let you do it in unranked. You can only turn it on and off. But when you go into ranked play, it unlocks ranked crossplay right here. And it's been amazing that you can queue up with PlayStation and Xbox. It's made the gameplay experience so far over a few days much, much more consistent. Let's go into our controller settings really quickly here. This is going to be a quick walkthrough because it's all going to be the same of what I was using on PC. Tactical flipped, 2.3 by 1.6. Probably want to lower your horizontal, if I'm being honest with you. And playing flipped is amazing. Dead zones is all going to be personal preference and depends on the controller that you have. Every controller is a little bit different. Mess with your dead zones. The one thing I will say, though, is the usual. Lower your left stick max dead zone. It makes it a little bit more easy, especially with tac sprint assist on, to make it sure you're not getting these weird dead slides or not getting tac sprint when you want it to. Makes it a little bit easier so you don't have to do the full stick press in any direction to get the tac sprint going. Aiming advanced, you want to switch everything over to instant. You want to go to dynamic. I use custom sense per zoom right here, a 0.7 on the closer ones, and I just leave the far ones defaults. Slide dive behavior, I highly recommend with Omni movement. You get used to hybrid because it's just better. Tactical sprint assist on, 0 delay, other two on. Usual stuff right there. Over to combat now. This is all kind of personal preference. You want to make sure your parachute doesn't pop automatically. You want to prioritize interact like we've been doing on Warzone for a very long time now. And a big thing here, I'm not sure if they ever fixed this, but sprint cancels reload being off might make your game feel a lot better. I'm not sure if they ever fixed that. Everything else is very much straightforward. Getting over the graphics tab here, this is going to be way faster than our other PC settings videos. Obviously, a lot of these graphics things and PlayStation 5 settings is going to be dependent on your display. So I'm rocking the Samsung Odyssey OLED G6. And a lot of things with VRR, auto low latency mode, all those things are going to be dependent on what the specs are of your device and what's compatible with a PlayStation or an Xbox if you're on console, okay? So when you're watching settings videos, you need to apply this to your particular setup, or if you're looking to buy a monitor, make sure that it has the things that you want for console. Okay?
Green wall.
Thank you for the reset. Appreciate that, buddy. So you want to make sure 120 hertz refresh rate is on. Again, this video is with a PS5 Pro. I don't have a lot of reps with the Pro yet. I just upgraded to it from the regular PS5. So if you watch the streams, I'll be giving more input throughout the weeks on what I think, if there's value there, because the PS5 Pro is $700 compared to what, the $400 or $500 of a regular PS5. So I want to see if there's a big enough difference playing COD, playing Warzone, to warrant that difference. Over to quality here, all the motion blur stuff off. Fidelity cast you want on, okay? And I've seen some videos where it can mess with your frame rate if you have this cranked all the way up to 90. So on PC and what I've been playing on console so far, I had this cranked all the way up to 90 or 100. I'll be messing with this to see if I notice any difference in frame rate. It might not be significant, but if you feel it, especially on maybe not a PS5 Pro or maybe not a Series X, maybe this will help make your frame rates more consistent. I've seen testing on it. Who knows? Who knows if it's real or not? On-demand texture streaming I put to minimal because when I had it higher than that, I would lag on console. So that's pretty cool that they have that in there. FOV 110, all this is just the same stuff. You don't want camera movement. All this stuff is going to be the same stuff we've had on every single Warzone settings video of all time. Audio here. I'm going to start with this saying that you're going to get a lot more in-depth audio reviews from other people, you're not going to get that from me. The only thing I do is Dolby Atmos on, enhanced headphone mode on, audio mix sucker punch, and I go into the asymmetrical hearing compensation, and I configure these intensities here at the different ranges. Okay, these are the same sort of settings that I use on PC. The 1 and 2K frequencies, you can mess with that. Yes, the settings are going to be the same on both. If you have them different, that's weird, unless you actually have asymmetrical hearing. Okay, so I boost the low frequencies, I lower the high frequencies. Try this out. If you have a better setup for your setup or your preference, that's great. Use that one. Okay. Reduce tinnitus sound, and then I use the classic hit markers because it reminds me of Blackout, and Blackout I think we can easily say has been better than Warzone so far because this game's kind of a joke. Interface and all this. I also watched another video where you scroll down to, I think it's on interface, and is it on gameplay HUD? I forget where the setting is actually. That's what it is. It's content filters. I watched another video where people did testing on console for COD and for Warzone, and potentially can make your frame rates more consistent while you're shooting, or after you get kills, obviously, if you disable dismemberment and gore effects. Again, this is just going off of other videos. Try it for yourself and see if you notice a difference. Okay. We're done with in-game settings. That's the easy part. Going into the PlayStation settings now. Obviously, you want to be hardwired to get the best connection possible. Let's wait this out.
Let's go.
Weezy with a tier 3. We love that. We love that. Thank you so much. Getting into the PS5 settings. I use a capture card, so I have to disable HDCP. This auto low latency mode is going to be dependent on what your setup is. If your screen is compatible with it, you probably want this on. If you're playing on like a TV, gaming monitors are going to perform a little bit different. You have VRR, you have auto low latency mode. If it says when you go over here to this other setting in screen and video too, that if you have this on, it'll use auto low latency to anyways, but that's all going to depend. So I want to do more testing with VRR to see if I notice latency, if I notice it being more consistent. From my very minimal testing so far on the PS5 Pro, I feel like I like having it on. There's a lot of times, obviously, where the console's not going to be able to keep up with 120, especially during high motion. So I want to see if this makes up the difference of it picking up, the frame rate adjustment to see if it's more fluid, if I feel like I aim better, and I feel like if the latency difference is worth it. Playing on 1440p and 120. I'm using the OLED G6 and all this other stuff. I use HDR off because I feel like it just makes my monitor much brighter. A lot of people like using HDR. If you like using that, sick. Go for it, man. Accessories. So again, this is going off of other videos as well. You could easily look up on YouTube. The point of contention here is going to be what controller you're using on the PS5, whether you're using a SCUF and using code TP at checkout and getting a SCUF Reflex FPS, right? Anyways, there's testing done on Black Ops 6 and on Warzone where your latency with your controller is actually different depending on the communication method that you're using on the particular game. Why do these perform differently depending on the title? I have no idea. I'm not smart enough to know that. But from the testing, sometimes Bluetooth can be better. But in this particular scenario, with the PS5 Pro and Warzone, USB is supposed to be the better latency for Warzone. So if you have a regular PS5 or if you have a PS5 Pro, figure out which one, test it and see which one you feel like you're getting the most consistent and best latency with your controller. Why is there such a shakeup with this? I have no idea. And this is the biggest point for me. Like on PC, I could just overclock my USB port and get 8,000 polling rate or whatever it is. And it just feels so much better. So definitely going to feel that difference on console and try to mitigate the damage there, basically. Game presets, you want to make sure things are running in performance mode here. Obviously depends on your situation. Maybe some people want resolution mode. but performance mode going to be the go-to for that. Audio, run Dolby Atmos. You can run the 3D audio and all this type of stuff. Obviously, my audio output is going to say HDMI device because I'm using a capture card. This is going to be different for what you guys are potentially using. If you guys want to check out the 3D audio, again, I'm not smart enough to know all the difference with 3D audio and all that, so I just stick to Dolby Atmos. These are the first settings that I've been testing on the PS5 Pro so far for COD, for Warzone. Obviously, give me some more time. I'll fine-tune the settings and go from there. But this is what I've been kind of landing on so far. Console-only crossplay for Warzone Ranked has been way more fun. It's a joke that we even have to do this, but here we are if you want to try it out. Thanks for watching. Leave a like.